Thank you. Can you please join me in Gasho? Namo Doubts.
Namo Amira.
Namo Doubts. Namo Doubts. Good morning and good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Today we really have an international group joining us for the CBE lecture. First time I think we have someone from South America who's also tuning in. But I'd like to thank Reverend Dake and Reverend Kuwahara for agreeing to speak to us today on this topic of socially engaged Buddhism. For those who may not know, the reason I have these two speakers is because people ask about what is socially engaged Buddhism for Jodo Shinshu. These are the two people in the world who I would ask if I had a question about this. And also, I just wanted to mention, if you read the biographical notes on both of our speakers, it says completed their PhD courses for literature. In the old system of Ryukoku University, you didn't receive the PhD till you're about ready to retire. So if Reverend Kuwahara or Reverend Dake were in the United States at a university here, they would both have their PhD. So that's why when you read it, at first you go, God, did they both quit? No, they are equivalent to a PhD here. So I just want to mention that. But let me tell you a little bit about both. First, we will have Reverend Dake speaking today. So Reverend Dake is on the faculty of Ryukoku University's Graduate School of Intercultural Communications and is the director at Center for the Studies of South Asia. He received his master's degree from Ryukoku and has completed his PhD courses for literature. His areas of research include Shindan's thought, engaged Buddhism, and interfaith dialogue. He serves on the editorial board of the journal Contemporary Voices of Dalit. I think I'll read Kuwahara Sensei's at the same time. Reverend Kuwahara, his master's degree in Jodo Shinshu studies from IBS and Ryukoku University, and has completed the Ryukoku PhD program in Jodo Shinshu studies. He has also served as the co-director of the BCA Center for Buddhist Education, coordinator for the Honganji office of the BCA Jodo Shinshu Center, and staff member of the International Department of the Jodo Shinshu Honganji. He is currently the director of the Jodo Shinshu International Organization. So to begin today's seminar, if I could please ask Dake Sensei to go ahead. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Thank you, Reverend Jerry Hirano, your kind introduction, and also thank you for all staff of CBA, and also I thanks to the Bishop Marvin Harada to give me this very precious opportunities. Well, first of all, I have to say my English is very limited. I will usually teach in Japanese, so please be patient. And I just start today. I was asked to introduce what is the engaged Buddhism. Well, it is very vague in a sense, and there's a many contexts that people use engaged Buddhism. So what I'm talking today is not very inclusive, the idea of the engaged Buddhism, but I just follow the first. I want to introduce you about the history and the original idea of the engaged Buddhism in Asian Buddhist countries. And then I just want to introduce some activities of engaged Buddhism, mostly in Asia, including Japan, and how the Asian Buddhist and the Japanese the Buddhist practices or term engaged Buddhism in their own understanding. And then I just give a baton to Reverend Kuwahara about the more, the theoretical or more, how we can understand Jodo Shinshu in the context of the Buddha Dharma and the Jodo Shinshu teaching. So please let me share my PD PowerPoint. So do you see? Is a
Yes,
did you see?
Sensei.
Okay.
Yes, Sensei.
What is the socially engaged Buddhism? Challenges for the contemporary world. This is my title, and this is very general definition of the what is engaged Buddhism. I think this is very nicely figured out. So usually the engaged Buddhism is a contemporary form of Buddhism that engages actively yet non-violently with the social, economic, political, and ecological problems of society. At its best, this engagement is not separate from Buddhist spirituality, but is very much an expression of it. So engaged Buddhism is on one hand a contemporary form of Buddhism. So, but at the same time, it is not separated from the Buddhist spirituality. And I will talks about the historical the background of the engaged Buddhist thought. In that context, the Thich Nhat Hanh, who coined this term in 1960s, he say the Buddhism is basically Buddhism has been engaged. I mean, he said engaged Buddhism is nothing special, but it is the activities of or daily activities of all Buddhists. So that is the basic, starting point of the term engaged Buddhism. So engaged Buddhism, and second, engaged Buddhism is not a centralized movement. It did not begin with vision of a single leader. It also not defined by sect. Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, and non-sectarian Buddhists all may be involved with engaged Buddhism. As I said, that's why it's very difficult to get a one definition for engaged for the term engaged Buddhism. But lots of people say we're engaged Buddhist and we are doing the engaged Buddhist activities. So, but as I say, explain later, the person who first used this term, the Thich Nhat Hanh, he's in 1980s, he stopped using this term for his activities because he found this term is too much politicized, too much social, too much emphasize the social activities instead of thinking what is the basis for that, what is the foundation for the activities. But anyway, this is true that the engaged Buddhism, there's a many people who participate in this movement. And third, engaged Buddhism is defined and unified by the intention to apply the value and teachings of Buddhism to the problems of society in a non-violent way, motivated by a concern for well-being of others and as an expression of their own Buddhist practices. I think this is third one is my understanding. So engaged Buddhism is apply the values and teaching of Buddhism to the problem of society in non-violent way, motivated by concern for well-being of others, and as an expression of their own Buddhist practices. So let me go a little bit more the kind of example of the these activities in Asian Buddhist country. Here, the history of the and background. Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Zen monk, he coined this term in 1960s. The socially engaged Buddhist. So here, again, I have to point it out. Today's topic is socially engaged Buddhism. As I said, engaged Buddhism itself, according to the Thich Nhat Hanh, it is the engagement of the old Buddhist. That's what he said. So he later on he used mindfulness as the tenet for, but instead of using engaged Buddhism, but basically the engaged Buddhism, what Thich Nhat Hanh taught was the more kind of the Buddhist way of life. But here today's topic is a socially engaged Buddhism. So that's another the word are added, the socially. So today I just focus upon what is the social relationship with the Buddhist way of life in contemporary society. So anyway, so the socially engaged Buddhist movement came into being in the form of many individual movements in the various Asian countries and Buddhist in the Western countries as a response to particular social, economical, political, and ecological crises facing each country. The philosophical and ethical roots of socially engaged Buddhism lie deeply within traditional philosophy and values, which is applies to contemporary problems, such as Four Noble Truths, karma, interdependence or interbeing, and non-duality. These are the sources of the unity among engaged Buddhists, despite their dispersed and multiple origins. The socially engaged Buddhism is a modern phenomenon, and such has been influenced by modern social, economics, psychological, and political forms of analysis of Western origin. So, although it's applied to the traditional the philosophy and value of the Buddhism, but at the same time, it also has the perspective, introduce the perspective of today's the more social sciences methods like the process theory or more the scientific analysis of the environmental crisis or so on and so forth. But anyway, so here I want to say that the socially engaged Buddhism has two aspects. One is the basis upon the traditional Buddhist tenets, and also it's applied or it introduced the idea of the today's scientific the methods or analysis. Okay, so next I want to introduce, show you some activities of engaged Buddhist in Asia. Some of them are also participate in, but I just show you. This is Thich Nhat Hanh. He's very old now and he's not well now. But here he like interbeing with calligraphy. It's the alphabet, but on right hand side he used kanji, the Chinese character, because in Vietnam, as you may know or not, but there it's not a Theravadan country, but also the Mahayana Buddhism spread, especially Zen or Chan. So the Thich Nhat Hanh is the Zen monk in in Vietnam. Here, his idea, the Thich Nhat Hanh, he established the order of interbeing in 1965 under the Vietnam War. He set 4 principles for the foundation of the order. So these are very the basis for the original engaged Buddhist idea. So what the first he said the no attachment to view. All systems of sort are guiding means. They are not absolute truths. He said that in this order, you don't have to attach any ideology or any absolute, the value or thoughts as absolute the condition. And second, direct practice realization. I mean, it has to be connected to yourself. In order to make peace, the peacemaker needs to be peace. So sometimes sorry, uh, the people are very angry about their the social system on the politics, and they do demonstrations. But he said that even if you do that, you have to do it violently. But at the same time, your mind should be peaceful. You try to be. So in order to make peace, if without peace, the peace in your mind, you cannot be peacemaker. There's no making without peace mind. That is his second the tenet. And the third, conformity to the basic tenet of Buddhism while engaging oneself to truly help people. So here again, he emphasized the conformity to the basic tenets of Buddhism, but at the same time, he emphasized to use that to truly help people. And four, the skillful means. This is very interesting that he said, although there are 84,000 Dharma doors, even more doors should be open in the certain circumstances. Each individual has their own situation, and they should think about their own situation according to the Buddha's teaching. I mean, even if there are 84,000, they may not applicable to that. You have to open another door. That is the 4 tenets when he studied the order of interbeing. So here I just emphasize, I want to emphasize the 2 points that Thich Nhat Hanh's principle for action. In the name ideology and doctrine, people kill and are killed. These precepts include the precept for not killing in deepest sense. So he said, socially engaged Buddhism is a non-violent movement. So he also interpret not killing, not only literally don't harm others, but also you have to be careful to attach ideology or any idea because it kills people. So, but anyway, I just want to emphasize the common the principle of the Buddhist engaged Buddhism is it's a Buddhism, engaged Buddhism, which the Thich Nhat Hanh and other most the Asian the Buddha the most engaged Buddhism in Asia try to follow is it should be a non-movement, non-violent movement. And the second, non-separation from all parties involved in the conflict. That is also a very important point that Thich Nhat Hanh pointed out. That is the success is overcome or distrust, antipathy, blame, and so on, and the creation of a harmonious community in which the former enemies all participate. So he emphasized socially engaged Buddhism is the third way. It is not me and you, I and you, good and bad. But he said that it is a way of the third way, not against anyone, but with people and with life. So he said that is the attitude of engaged Buddhism based upon non-dualistic or he said that is a non-dualism, but it is that is a non-dualistic or non-judgmental movement. That is, I want to emphasize here as what Thich Nhat Hanh tried to emphasize as the idea of the basic idea of the engaged Buddhism. Okay, so here I just go first quickly, but some various activities of socially engaged Buddhism. As Thich Nhat Hanh said that all Buddhism has been engaged. I mean, without a term of engaged Buddhism, there's a we can say that is also the engaged Buddhism. One example is Navayana or Dalit Buddhism movement by Dr. Babasaheb Bhimarao Babasaheb Ambedkar in India. Some people may know him, but may not. This the picture. He was born as the Dalit, which is used to be called the untouchable, the lowest the classes in the caste system in the India society. Anyway, his movement was the liberation of the people used to be called untouchables in Indian society. So so he convert the Buddhism because he said the Buddha Dharma has the three tenets, that is the equality and the fraternities and the freedom. So it's similar to the French Revolution tenets, but he used or he interpreted these ideas based upon the Buddha's Dharma. And he say by being the Buddhism, we are all equal and we are not untouchable. Anyway, so that is the one example. And the second is from Sri Lanka, the Salvodaya Shramadana movement in Sri Lanka. I also been lived in Sri Lanka for 6 months, and I closely observed their activity. They are very, very powerful. And this movement was a self-sustainable development of rural village in Sri Lanka. The science high school teacher, Arya Ratana, he started this movement. So Sarvodaya is a welfare of all. So he emphasized that the awakening of all. So awakening is the term which he borrowed from the Buddhist idea. But also, as you may know, this is the term which used by the Mahatma Gandhi in India. So anyway, you have to be self-sustained to be free from this desire to be rich, or and all those kind of, he said, the poverty in Sri Lanka occurred in these the mindful these are the customs of the mind, which is he said poisoned by the capitalistic the desire. So he said we have to be awakened to our real need, and we have to be awakened to our own, the idea, our community. So by doing that, he started this movement with his high school student, and it spread all over Sri Lanka, and lots of villages, people, I don't know, lots of young Sri Lankan people joined to the village labor to share this idea. And they return to the city, they try to practice the same thing in the city area. So that is another the example. And this movement was introduced by the Joanna Macy. Some people may know her. She is the Berkeley local, and she wrote some books on this movement in Asia. If here I say the one book, The World as Lover, uh, World as a Self. So, um, so I and the world is inseparable. That's what she meant. And she also introduced the Salvadorian movement in this book. Uh, and here the one some lines from Joanna Macy's, which is quoted to the first page of the International Network of Engaged Buddhism, which I will introduce next. And here she said that we have to liberate each other and ourselves. We can do this because we have a love of life. It is calling us uh, in all our converging streams through the teachers of the main religions. I see structural violence as a way to address. If we speak together that we are all victims and we are all accountable. It is a work we are born to do. So the first page of the International Network of Engaged Buddhism, which has the headquarters in Bangkok in Thailand, and it quote this phrase from Joanna Macy. Here I want to point out one phrase or one term, which is the structural violence. Go, as I said, as the Thich Nhat Hanh said, the killing is not only a direct physical meaning, but also there's a ideology and the system that will kill in the long run, or that is harm the people in other places. So also the engaged Buddhists also think about what is the meaning of structural violence, or what is the meaning of the situation of today's suffering from the perspective of Buddhist the teaching. So next I want to also introduce the next activity of in Asia. This is a very this is not the one group, but this is a network, International Network of Engaged Buddhism. So in 1989, International Network of Engaged Buddhism was established in Siam, Thailand, by Sulak Subbalaksa, and a group of Buddhist and non-Buddhist thinkers and social activists. INEB operates as an autonomous organization. The network has expanded to include members, both individuals and organizations from more than 25 countries across Asia, Europe, North America, and Australia. From this diversity and understanding of a socially engaged Buddhism has emerged, which integrate the practice of Buddhism with social action for a healthy, just, and peaceful world. So this is the I put the URL of this the group. So Sulak Subalaksha is a Thai social activist, and he is still very active. This picture is recently he sent us, and he's still active on the street. He's already 88 years old, I think. And he wrote a lot of books on this. And here's some example, his idea. Peace as abhaya. After all, forgiveness in Pali is abhaya, no fear. Since he raised in the Theravada tradition, he used the Pali canon and Pali teaching. So he used the Pali term to explain about the Buddhist idea. So abhaya, the fear arises from construction of the other. Construction of the other arises from separation of self and other. This is ignorance. In order to be fearless, one needs to break fetters of ignorance and greed. It is the ideological attachment to a majority domain state that has caused the world and led to enormous suffering. We are interrelated or interbeing. One who realizes interbeing is fearless. It is this fearlessness that can help transform the colonial construction of the Sri Lanka state. This construction is based on greed and hatred. So this is some idea of the Sulak who are very active in the activities of the engaged Buddhism in the world. And please check these groups, the website. And if you see that, you can see these activities, and they are very loose kind of network. So if you say, I want to join, they just accept. And the point is that, solidarity. They try to, share their idea and try to help each other. That is the way. And also, well, I'm the one of the executive director for this other group. And because of that, this is some the main people. Because of that, I hosted a Japanese net, the one a symposium last December, a symposium on Japanese engaged Buddhism, from caring for individual to transforming society. I cannot explain all, but please connect to this URL. I will share this PowerPoint to on the chat page of this, but please check this. And then all presenter are all Japanese, the Buddhist, mostly the ministers, but some are lay and some are the wife to the minister, Bomori. But I put instant simultaneous English translation, so you can listen to in English if you access to this page. So the topic is the serving for natural disaster victims. That is, a tsunami, and the social discrimination and poverty. That is the still, you can see that in all over Japan if you see very deeply, and also the depressed and suicidal. There are some groups are very active in moving the counseling for those people who think about may commit the suicide. But this is very and the fourth topic was nuclear and environmental issues. So if you're interested in all these the four topics are discussed from the individual as individuals sufferings as well as their structural suffering. Okay, so I just skip, but these are the title, the program so far, and gender also there was a topic. Anyway, and this is some group. They are Jodo Shinshu ministers. They studied Terra energy. inspirational learning from Japanese Buddhist energy community. That is, they try to use the solar system, but also they try to support these movement, especially the suicidal, the hotline for the life. So they are very supportive to that kind of activities. By using these, the activities, they found some monies and they just try to share it with these groups. Anyway, so small conclusion. Sorry, it took a very long time. The socially engaged Buddhism is a modern phenomenon, but at the same time are rooted in the essential tenets and value of Buddhism. Thich Nhat Hanh say, engaged Buddhism is nothing special, but the Buddhism has been engaged. So we are all engaged Buddhists, but also socially engaged Buddhism is both also very important, the point that we have to think about. The second, the movement has a non-dualistic perspective and no judgmental and non-violent attitude. Okay. And third, what are the challenges of the socially engaged Buddhism movement for Shin Buddhism? That is today's very important topic, which I'm not, probably Kuwahara Sensei will give some ideas. But what is the Shin Buddhism and ethics? So here I just wanted to point out my kind of idea, that is I that see beyond the secular world. We have that is the very famous Tanisho the phrase, but with a foolish being full of blind passions in this fleeting world, this burning house, all matters without expression and empty and false, totally without truth and sincerity. The Nembutsu alone is a true and real. So we have the eyes that see beyond the secular world we have, but at the same time, how we can return to this world. So what is the meaning of ethics in Shin Buddhism? That is a very important topic as if we think about socially engaged Buddhism. And next, the Shin Buddhist Sangha and the society. A Sangha, original Sangha had a precept, Vinaya. And that is to try to keep the Sangha as a social, socially sustainable. So that's the same thing with the Shin Buddhist Sangha, how we relate with society as that. And that is for that the Shinran Shonin say that living with prayer for the world. That is, he said that may there be peace in the world and may the Buddha's teaching spread. So that is my the talk today. And sorry, my limited English, but I spoke really quickly and you may not understand fully, but I hope that you have some interest on that. And I just give my baton to Reverend Kuwahara Sensei. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dake Sensei. Your presentation was very wonderful and excellent. At this time, I would like to ask all of you to please save your questions until we have finished with Kuwahara Sensei's presentation, which will be coming up next. So please save your questions. You can either type them in the chat. Just as a reminder, we will stop the recording before we do the question and response session. So even if you don't want to appear on video, you can still ask your question because we will stop the video for that. At this time, I would like to please turn the time over to Reverend Kuwahara.
Thank you very much. And then Dake Sensei, thank you for your very informative and wonderful presentation. And so I just uploaded my handout for my presentation today. So if you can download it and you can open it, maybe, I don't know. So for you to, refer to when you ask questions, maybe I thought it would be a little bit helpful. So I just uploaded my handout on the chat. So you, okay. I think now you see my screen, right?
Yes, Sensei. Hi.
はい、ありがとう。Thank you, 小市さん。はい、again, thank you very much, BCA CBE, Buddhist Churches of America, Center for Buddhist Education. We could have this wonderful opportunity to share the Dharma this evening. So my last session was last May. I talked about the Pure Land. And then, so this time I received a chance to talk about the socially engaged Buddhism. And then Hirano Sensei mentioned maybe, he said I would be the best person, but I don't think so. Maybe, maybe I don't know how much information or knowledge I can provide, but I'll do my best. ね。はい。で、oh, and then I also put my email address there. So if you're shy and then, no chance to throw a question to me after, this presentation, please send me an email anytime. So let me begin with this. So I'm going to talk a little bit about taking off from a Buddhist ideas teaching. And then after that, I move on shifting to Jodo Shinshu ideas. So you can see a young prince, Gautama Sitarata. 3 days ago, we celebrated, no, 2 days ago. Yeah, we celebrated Shakyamuni Buddha's birthday. And Gautama Siddhartha, who used to be a prince of a kingdom in India. And then, although he had a luxury, wonderful life, but one day this young Gautama Siddhartha prince encountered the reality of human lives. In the handout, I think page 7, I put a short story of this Gautama Siddhartha's 4 gates. Okay, so this Gautama Siddhartha encountered the reality of getting old. And one day he encountered the reality of getting sick. And then one day he encountered the reality of death, right? So young, wealthy, healthy prince kind of hit the wall. And then he started wondering, how should I do? Someday I will get old. I don't want to get old. Someday I may, get sick. I don't want to get sick. And then someday I have to die, but I don't want to die. Right? So this young Gautama Siddhartha encountered, realized the realities of human existence. And then he started suffering. He started feeling stress, anxiety. Right? And how should I deal with them? Right? And then so that's why one day he encountered a monk searching for the path to be liberated of all those anxiety suffering. So this young Gautama Siddhartha decided to leave home and then, try to pursue the spiritual, quest. Right? So in that sense, according to my understanding, Buddhism is a sort of teaching of, dealing with suffering, right? So sometimes people talk about, happiness, kind of thing in Buddhism. But to me, the origin or purpose of Buddhism is to figure out how to deal with those inseparable suffering or difficulties of my life, right? So in that sense, according to my understanding, Buddhism is more like a protective, defensive teaching, right? We necessarily, inevitably encounter stress difficulties living in this world, and then how to deal with them, how to overcome those kind of things. So in that sense, I think Buddhism is a kind of teaching of protection or defense, and then relatively by practicing, following the Buddhist practice, we can reduce the number of stress or maybe anxiety, suffering, right? And then in that sense, relatively, we could have a happier, better life. I think that is a purpose or origin of Buddhism. And then Shakyamuni Buddha, Gautama Siddhartha, he started the spiritual quest and then tried to figure out, discover the way to deal with, overcome those inseparable sufferings, difficulties of human existence. And then he didn't blame others, or he didn't attribute cause of suffering or difficulties to other people. Oh, I'm suffering because that guy is something wrong to me. That's not the Shakyamuni Buddha's approach. So he carefully analyzed the reality of human existence, human suffering, difficulties, right? And then he deeply looked into himself. And then he attributed the cause of human sufferings, anxiety, difficulties to our ignorance, or more, sometimes we call 3 poisons, right? Greed, anger, stupidity. So we are passing gas every day. And then because of gas, I suffer myself. And then I give suffering, trouble to other people, right? So that is the reality of our life. And then again, this gas, right, 3 poisons or ignorance is not, we are talking about something, somebody else. Right? Buddha is just focusing on, my own 3 poisons, my own ignorance. They are the main causes of our suffering, difficulties in this life. So that's why now he figured out, found the cause of our suffering, difficulties. So that's why he kind of searched for the way to solve, deal with them, right? And then the goal, according to Buddha or Buddhist teaching, the nirvana, extinction of causes of our suffering, or revelation from all suffering. That is a goal of Buddhism. And then this teaching is, as most of you may know, Four Noble Truths, right? So this is the structure, the system of Buddhism. And then, as I said, so 3 poisons, right? And then this is about myself, right? We are not talking about, okay, my wife is so, angry, my sons are so stupid, right? We are not talking about somebody else. Always talking myself, right? If you think, I'm not that bad, right? That is the exact symptom of ignorance, right? And then, so that's why on page 7 of the handout, I put how to listen to the Dharma, how to listen to the Dharma. Because this is very, very important when we listen to the Dharma. And then the second one talks about, right, Buddha's message, Dharma message is always talking about myself. Buddha is not talking about somebody else, right? That's the way how we should listen to the Dharma. And then that is a very, very important attitude when we practice Buddhism, okay? Okay, so now Buddha discovered the cause of our human suffering, right? And then what if those beings, right, carrying, possessed of 3 poisons live together? Of course, there are more sufferings, more troubles, more issues all over. So that's why in Buddhism, we say Saha world. Okay, our world, this place is where beings, we must exercise patience and endurance because we have to deal with so many difficulties, suffering. Or because of so many difficulties, troubles, Sometimes this word is called burning house. I think Dake Sensei introduced a passage from Tanisho at the end of his presentation. And then Prince Shotoku, one of the great Buddhists in Japanese history, he said this world is empty and false, seken koke, yuibutsu zeshin. So from Buddha's eyes of wisdom, this is how Buddha observed, enlightened one observed this world. Right? We humans carry gas, and then because of my own gas, I suffer myself, give troubles to other people. And then this world, so many difficulties. And then I know sometimes people say, Sensei, I don't want to hear that kind of pessimistic view. Right? In my Dharma messages, I sometimes talk about this kind of thing. Right? And then, Sensei, this is Sunday morning, we come to the temple, and then I want to hear something more positive, And I know some people, this kind of observation, view sounds very pessimistic. But on the other hand, different perspective, which I believe most Buddhists agree with, this is more very realistic. This is very true to the reality of my existence, or maybe this world. So I admit, or I agree, follow this, and of course, unfortunately, I'm having a full of three poisons, and then this world is so many issues. But I do agree with Buddha's kind of observation. But Buddhism is not just analyzing human existence or this world. Right? So in the previous slide, I talked about the wisdom. Maybe from the eyes of wisdom, that's how Buddha sees this world. That's what he gets through the eyes of wisdom. Right? But the Buddhism is not only talk about the wisdom. Right? But at the same time, another important, virtue is compassion. Right? Compassion. So because of those, issues, suffering, sadness, grief, sorrow. So that's why we need to change. We have to change. And then Buddha truly knows the necessity of our change. So that's why Buddha, he started spreading the Dharma so that we humans can be changed. We humans can be liberated from all those sufferings. Right? So in Buddhism, compassion is a sort of kind of manifestation of wisdom. Right? Analyzing, observing this world or this guy, and then show us the kind of symptom. And then Buddha said, okay, let's work together to improve, to make things better. Right? So that's why Buddhism, wisdom, and compassion, they're inseparable. So in that sense, what is a compassion in Buddhism? Of course, it is important to help others, to help people in need, in trouble, or be nice, kind to other people. But more essentially, more importantly, I'd say, especially kind of in terms of the combination or inseparableness from wisdom. Compassion in Buddhism is to share the wisdom, to share Buddha's guidance. That is the essential meaning, significance of compassion in Buddhism. Because that wisdom is a true remedy for us to change, for us to be cured. So now we know the necessity, need of change, and then Buddha wants to change us. And then how? So in the next slide, I'm going to introduce a story of Kisa Gotami. Well, some of you have ever heard this story, and then I put a short summary of story, I think page 7 of the handout. Maybe 1 minute or 30 seconds, you can read just a couple lines of this story. So this lady, Kisa Gotami, she was desperate, and then she was in deep sorrow because she lost her baby. Right? As a mother, she was in deep sorrow. So what is the goal, right? There is a lady who is in deep sorrow. Shakyamuni Buddha, he wanted to save her. She wants her to change so that she could accept, overcome the sorrow of her baby's death. And what did he do? He could say, hey, Kisa, come on. This is a world of impermanence. Everybody dies, right? Even, baby dies. So you should know the truth of impermanence. See, Buddha taught the truth of impermanence. He could have approached Kisa in this way, right? So by giving a words, by sharing the knowledge of truth of impermanence, people could, change her. Right? But as the story goes, Shakyamuni Buddha didn't do that, right? But rather he asked her to go visit, house, families, and then find a poppy seed from a family where nobody died before. So this is because Shakyamuni Buddha knew, right? No matter what words, knowledge, information he provided to this lady in despair or in deep sorrow, that kind of information, words, doesn't reach to her. Those kind of information didn't change her in a true sense. He knew that. So that's why Shakyamuni Buddha guided her to take action, right? Visit the house to house and ask her to try to find the poppy seed from a family where no one had ever died. Right? But of course, somebody dies, in every family. So eventually she couldn't find a poppy seed. But in the course of visiting house to house, and then she gradually realized the truth of, impermanence. So Shakyamuni Buddha's guidance brought a sort of awareness of the truth of impermanence in this lady. So Kisa's change to accept, overcome her baby's death, that is kind of arose within herself with the guidance of Buddha. The guidance of Buddha. So I would say Buddhism is a teaching that brings us true and genuine change from the inside of ourselves. Right? Of course, we listen to the knowledge or information teaching of Buddhism. Right? The point is, we need to truly encounter Buddha's wisdom. We truly receive the guidance of Buddha at our heart, right? And then when Buddha's wisdom, teaching, voice, light touches us, and then that's how, true and genuine changes take place within ourselves. So that's how Buddhism changes us. Right? So Buddha's wisdom awakens us and then allows us to see things from different perspectives. That is the power of Buddha's wisdom. That is the power of Buddha's teaching. And then this is very powerful. This is very precious, important thing. So that's why as a Buddhist, we try to share this gift, treasure, with more people, right? So that everybody, other people also can experience, receive that kind of change from within ourselves. So far I talked about the Buddhist idea of change, how Buddhism changes us, right? And then now I'd like to talk a little bit about the Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. So Buddhism changes us from within ourselves, right? And then according to Shinran Shonin's understanding, so Jodo Shinshu, the change comes from Amira Buddha. With the guidance of Amira Buddha, we are changed. And then this is a passage from Shoshinge. He says, Shakyamuni Buddha, there are many teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha, but among them, Shinran Shonin said, Amida Buddha's primal vow is a very, cause of our true change, genuine change. And then this Amida Buddha's vow was established by searching into qualities of lands and human beings. So it's not just a vow. It's based on kind of detailed, careful research of looking into the qualities of human beings. And then they are what Buddha discovered. They are what Buddha discovered. But the Buddha did not criticize us. Amida Buddha was not upset, didn't get upset or blame us. But rather, Amida Buddha or all other Buddhas sorrowed by this reality of human existence or the reality of Saha world. And then based on this sorrow or sadness, Amida Buddha established a vow to liberate us such suffering, difficulties. So the essence of or origin of Buddha's vow, primal vow, is Buddha's sorrow, sadness. So when we listen to the Dharma, this is the point we have to listen to. And then Shinran Shonin deeply listened to Amida Buddha's vow. And then Shinran Shonin clearly realized, discovered who he was or how he lived everyday life. And then those are some kind of examples or passages that he discovered the reality of his life. And I totally agree with him. And then when we deeply look into ourselves, as Shinran Shonin said, we could find so many, three poisoned gas. Right? And then I'm going to talk about the one example. You know what this is, right? So when we go to conference or meetings, at the registration table, there's like a name tag sticker, right? And hello, I'm so on and so. So we usually put our names, right? So my name is Kuwahara. And then we put that sticker on the, our clothes. But how about this? As in the previous slide, the first Wasan hymns, Shinran Shonin critically talking about the inside and the outside of our human life. Right? And maybe this is one of the realities of bomb life, bomb nature, right? Hello, I'm better than you, right? So I say this is a kind of a manifestation of our ignorance, right? I'm better than you. Although we don't know other people very much, but we put, label. I like this guy. I don't like this guy. I'm better than him. I'm maybe, richer than that guy, right? We put kind of all those labels to other people. And then some cases, or most cases, we discriminate other people or we disrespect other people. That's how we generate more disharmonies in this world. So that's why such a guy like me has to be changed. So that's why Buddha pours direct compassion to this guy or all born people. And then how Amida Buddha changes us. So Amida Buddha is described as a Buddha of light. And then Shinran Shonin or many pure and Buddhist masters, they explained or developed interpretation, the working of Amida Buddha's light. But here I just brought two ideas, two examples. The light of wisdom to clearly show who I am, or how I live my everyday life. So this is a passage Shinran Shonin quoted to the Jodo Shinshu, originally from Nirvana Sutra. There are two good means by which sentient beings can be saved or improved or cured. So one is shame. Maybe we could put different translation, maybe remorse or repentance. I don't know, the shame is a good translation, I'm not sure, but shame and then self-reproach. So in the light of Amida Buddha, we can see who I am, how I live my everyday life, right? When we deeply realize the reality of my life, that kind of awareness, realization, not drive us to like a depression or negative feeling, but that this light has the power to push us a different direction, right? To keep us away from those things and then pushing us to live positively. So that's why one of the 48 vows, Amida Buddha said, this is one of my favorite vow, right? So when we touch the Amida Buddha's light touches us, we become soft and gentle, right? So this is the power of Amida Buddha's light. And then since we get, soft and, gentle, our mind, that is humble life, humility, right? Because we have a deep awareness of my own three poisons. And then that's how this teaching changes us, right? So because of deep awareness changes us, changes our behavior, our speech, our thoughts, right? Naturally from within ourselves. So I would say maybe new eye, new subject brought by Amida Buddha. So Shinran Shonin said this word, when we attain Shinjin, right? So such a deep awareness brought by Amida Buddha, right? Living the light is the life of Shinjin. And then once we start the life of Shinjin, there should be some changes on our everyday life, in our everyday lives. So what if more people experience such changes? I'm sure there should be less issues in this world. Right? Maybe first, maybe at, family members, right? And then people live with Dharma. And then at the temple community, or maybe broader community, society, community, country, right? If more people live with Amida Buddha, live the life of Shinjin, and then there should be less issues. So I would say this is how Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, changes the world. So of course, it is important to work on, deal with individual social issues, right? But as I mentioned at the beginning, the causes of all issues is within ourselves, right? From Buddhist perspective. So that's why it's very important for each of us to be changed, transformed with the guidance of Amida or Dharma. And then when those people get together, form society, community, country, and then that's how we can change the society, we can change the community, we can change the world. So in that sense, Buddhism comes to the foundation of the society. Buddhism comes to the central value of the society, community, country, or this world. And then that is socially engaged Buddhism, or I think that is the original purpose or what the Buddhism supposed to be, should be. So that's why Shinran Shonin knew the power, potential, of the Dharma. May there be peace in the world. And then to achieve that, may the Buddha's teachings spread. Right? When each of us truly, deeply listen to the Dharma and then receive the kind of change brought by the Dharma, he was sure, and I'm sure too, we can achieve this great, purpose, right? Goal. And then so that's why as a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, Jishin Kyonishin, I think this is very important. This is not just spreading the teaching, right? By sharing the Amida Buddha's teaching, then indirectly, right, we can make a contribution to the achievement of world peace or kind of solutions of various human issues or social issues. ごめんなさい. I talked too long, maybe longer than Dake sensei, but ありがとうございました. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Reverend Kuwahara. And once again, thank you again, Professor Dake as well. Let's definitely take a couple minutes here, and we would like to give you all an opportunity to ask them questions. But before we do that, may I ask CBE Director Reverend Jerry Hirano to formally close the program, and after he's done with closing Gasho, we will stop the recording. So if I may ask Reverend Jerry to just formally close the program at this time.
Thank you so much, Dake Sensei and Kuwahara Sensei. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge with us. So we'll close tonight with Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, everyone.